Glad to see you got wood. That's a little bit of a crapshoot. So wait 1 sec, you're an interior designer now? What the hell? That's not cool. So this is really coming together nicely. It's a really cool look to combine the reclaimed materials with the freshly painted V-groove tongue and groove material, or also called shiplap. So when you take the reclaim and put it on top, you get this kind of rustic look, right? But then the way we're doing the beams in a little bit of a tight pattern, and it's going to be across the entire length of the room, it ends up being a very transitional look. So we're making the room a little more contemporary with these rustic elements. And then we're going to take some very cool fabric wrap paneling, and we've left some space here. We've left 1 inch and 1/8. The fabric wrap panels are going to be 1 inch thick. The fabric is 1/16, so 1 inch and 1/16 by the time it's wrapped. We've left 1 inch and 1/8 here, so we can slide the panels in behind there, and it'll appear to die right into those panels. Otherwise, if this went right to the wall, it'd be very difficult to cut those pieces and wrap around those sort of tight angles. So this is kind of a neat concept here, because we've created an opening here, which is 2 1/8 by 1 inch deep, which is the specification we need for our mini LED lights that are going in here. The LED lights have a really interesting square trim piece that'll be going on the outside right here. But the actual fixture itself tucks in this spot. And this is a low voltage wire. So this is not something you can do with high voltage fixtures, because there's heat issues. With LED, it's very cool. So you can do this sort of thing. Really unique, sort of interesting lighting effects, and that's one of the opportunities that you wouldn't have been able to do even 10 years ago. All right, so one of the most important things to consider when you're preparing your home theater room, if you want it to look like it was professionally done, is to make sure that you've run all your wires well in advance. Because the biggest mistake most people make is they finish a room, then they decide to put the home theater system in, and you end up with wires behind little plastic raceways, or tucked in the carpet, or stapled to the wall or the baseboard, and that's what makes the room look amateur. So run your wires in advance. Okay, so some of the wires we've got is this is, for example, 14 gauge 2 conductor. This is for speakers. So we've got a left channel over here. The screen's going to be in between. We've decided to go with the surface mount speaker versus putting it behind the screen. A little bit more cost effective, allows you to change the speakers if you want to down the road. So we got the left channel, center channel roughed in below the screen, and the right channel. We don't have a lot of ceiling height here, which is why we put the center channel below, because we want to keep the screen up as high as we can, and this is going to help us get good sight lines from our seating, because we got the two levels for sight lines. The lower the screen goes, the higher the stage has to be. So roughed in for the surround sound speakers back here. There's a lot of different surround sound formats. There's 5.1, 7.1, there's Dolby Atmos now, which has a height channel. We just wanted to keep it real simple in here. It's just a 5.1 system. 5.1 means there's a left, center, and right, so that's 3. There's a left and right surround, that's 2 more, so that's a total of 5. Then your subwoofer channel is 0.1 because it's a 1/10 of an octave. So these are the surround sound speaker wires, basically positioning the left and right surround speakers to be basically dividing where people's heads are going to be in half, so they both get a decent effect for the rear channel. And then back here we've got roughed in for HDMI. This is a high-speed HDMI 2.0 cable and a Cat 6 for communication. This is going to allow us to use the remote control without having to point it at the projector. And we're roughed in here for HDMI and a power outlet. We're in good shape here for our rough in. So we've got our little trunk of wire here from the theater that we've brought in. And so here's the three 14.2s we talked about, the front speakers. Here's the 2 speakers from the surround sound, the HDMI and the Cat 6 that are at the projector. And these ones, actually we didn't talk about these in the theater, but these are for the subwoofers. We've got rough in for 2 subs. And we're going to be putting the components over here, adding into this existing rack. And the remote control is going to be radio frequency remote, which means that the remote will work through walls. And there's little infrared recommunicators called flashers that stick to the front of each of the components to allow that to work. And we can even put video games and things here. We're directly behind the room, so the remote controls would work in terms of our range for the wireless remotes. And that was an important consideration because the kids love those video games, and I'm guilty of liking them myself here and there too. I have with me today Brent Moffat from H2 Systems, and Brent is going to be doing all kinds of stuff in the theater. Everything from installing wainscoting to doing some painting. He's going to be doing some duct moving, and then tomorrow we're going to be installing some home theater equipment. There's carpet coming. You're not going to be installing the carpet though, right?
No. Leave that to the professionals.
Leave that to the pros. Okay, so one of our little tricks to getting a nice technical room with good sound without breaking the bank is to order in professional grade acoustical fabric, but to wrap it directly onto MDF instead of ordering acoustic panels. Does a nice job, gives a nice clean look. You've done this numerous times.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that process? How do we go about getting a nice professional fabric wrap panel?
Basically, we'll take the same material as we're using for the wainscoting, which is MDF, which you can use. It works a lot. It works well for everything. So then we'll cut the wall into equal spacing. So we'll make equal panels for each section, and then we use an air stapler, and we actually use the stapler, and we staple the fabric onto the MDF.
So the one thing we just got to be careful about though, you need to make sure, and I'm going to be double checking this, that the fabric tension is consistent all around the panel, so it looks like it was made in a factory.
Yeah.
We don't want to be overstretched. This is not a homemade project. This is not your basement.
That's right. It's got to be professional and not overstretched. So what about this remote? Doesn't it have a lot of radio frequencies?
Well, it is actually an RF remote control. Thanks for asking. It's made by Control 4. It's called the SR1 kit. And what's nice with a radio frequency remote control is it'll work through walls, right? So from back here or anywhere in the room, you'll be able to use the remote control, talk to the equipment that's out of sight, much cleaner. Yeah. And so yes, it's radio frequency. Why do you ask?
I was just wondering. I heard a lot of bad stuff about radio frequencies lately, and I was just making sure that it's safe for people to use.
It's totally safe.
Speaking of safe, what's with this safe over here? I've been wondering what's in there the whole time.
It's a good question. If I tell you, though, I'll have to kill you. What's the PL for if you're screwing it? What's the idea?
Just an added adhesive.
Yeah. Is there any issues with this sort of thing warping over time, or?
No, it's usually wood will warp, but at the 100-year mark, it's not going to go anywhere.
It's been straight for 100 years. It's not going to change now.
Yeah. It's done drying.
That makes sense.
It's not going to do anything.
We'll report back to you in 100 years and see how it looks.
Probably not. Hopefully not.